Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our April CGBN webinar. I hope you are all doing fantastic today. Before we begin, please know that this session is being recorded. To ensure a smooth experience, we kindly ask anyone who is not presenting or part of the panel to mute themselves and turn off their video recording. Our session today will run for an hour and a half, and we'll start with presentations, followed by the Q&A segment for the presenters. Once the Q&A concludes, we will end the recording and transition into our needs and wants segment. If you have listings or trade missions to share, please let us know. We'd be happy to feature them on the CGBN page. After today's session, the recording will be available on the CGBN YouTube channel and the CGBN page. In the meantime, please take a moment to share your information in the chat, including your name, email, phone number, and any needs or wants you'd like to address. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Dimitri Lockman. I'm the current chair of CGBN, as well as the president-elect for NICAR. Dr. Williams serves as the vice chair of CGBN and will be taking over later this year. Super excited about that. I'd also like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to our past CGBN chairs, Ahmad Badat, Theresa Mueller, and Bill Caden, for their invaluable contributions and continued support. Thank you all for joining us today. Today's webinar is called Commercial Real Estate Insights from a Panel of Experts. We have Peter Cotsirilos, Theresa Mueller, and Bill Caden as the presenters. Peter Cotsirilos is a seasoned entrepreneur and real estate investor with a proven track record in representing buyers, sellers, landlords, and tenants across various property types. A certified commercial investment member, CCIM, Peter is widely recognized for his ability to revitalize and maximize the value of underperforming assets. His diverse career has equipped him with deep market insights and strategic vision in real estate investment and asset management. Theresa Mueller is the founder and CEO of her firm, bringing over 20 years of experience in commercial real estate and financial evaluation. With an engineering degree from University of Illinois, and a strong foundation in real estate investment analysis, Theresa specializes in helping clients assess the financial implications of leasing, owning, and other investment alternatives in the global marketplace. In addition to her transactional expertise, she is also an educator, empowering both engineering students and real estate clients to make data-driven investment decisions. Lastly, Bill Caden is the founder of Caden Commercial Real Estate Group and brings more than 4 decades of leadership experience in the service and real estate industries. His firm offers specialized expertise across leasing, sales, investments, 1031 exchanges, and property management, spanning all major commercial sectors, including retail, land, office, industrial, and multifamily. As a certified international property specialist, Bill also has a global perspective, making him a trusted leader in both local and international commercial real estate. Without further ado, we'll get into Peter Cotsirilos.
Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you came, and I would like to talk a little bit about self-storage. My background is in retail originally, grocery stores I owned. I became a commercial broker a few years back, or maybe 20 years ago, and I've been in brokers for 20 years. And on top of that, I've gotten into investments. My latest investment is with self-storage developers. It's developing self-storage facilities throughout the U.S. We do have one right now. We got one under contract. One up and running is about 70%, 75% occupied, and it's doing quite well. And that was a conversion of a Burlington Coat factory. Took 80,000 square feet, put a mezzanine in it, made it 125,000 square feet with 95 net rentable. And the market there is very good, even though it's in Cook County, but we were able to get some relief on the taxes at that location. So our next development is also in Cook, and we also got relief on the taxes there. So Cook County you have to be careful with as far as real estate taxes. Anyway, that's my background. I do work with Realty One Group as a commercial broker here, and I do other brokerage besides self-storage, but I do specialize in self-storage acquisitions. I do that for the self-storage developers, and I look at sites and try to figure out which sites are good and which are not. Anyway, as far as looking at sites, we have to look at what's available. And
your Google Home isn't set up yet. To get started, download the Google Home.
We'll do that.
Talk about being ghost.
Yeah. Anyway, looking at the sites, I have to look at what the competition is going to be. And I do that. I do per capita. How many people per capita are the sites low with maybe a 5 or 6 per capita, or if they're higher, 12, 14, those are not as good because there's a lot of competition. Also, we want to see if the area is growing as far as population is concerned. So we're looking for growth areas rather than stagnant or areas that are going down. We have to look at rental rates in the area. So we'll do a lot of analysis. There are websites I go to as far as getting the analysis to get what kind of rental rates are in this area. I usually look at a 3-mile radius or a 10-minute drive from the site and see what the rates are. Now, when you get rental rates, you can be as low as $1 per square foot, or it could be $2 or even $3 a square foot. If you get anything over $2, we're looking at that site, and if the per capita is low, we'll look at that also. But also, besides that, the site needs to be have visibility, accessibility, and we're also looking at traffic counts. And traffic counts, I want to see something 20 or maybe 60 or 25,000 vehicles per day plus. As far as the population, I'm looking at maybe 50,000 people within the 3-mile radius, plus that. And as far as the location, I apologize. I don't have my computer up. It's not up and running, and I have all this written down, but I'm doing this by memory. The vehicles per day, the location itself is population, household income we're looking at, and usually household income we want to see over 50,000 in household income plus. And other than that, the site itself has to be zoned. I mean, if you have a site that's not zoned for self-storage, you're looking at a delay of minimum 6 months is trying to get that through. It could be as long as a year to get the zoning to change to self-storage. So you want to see if you can get something that's zoned for self-storage. That being said, if we look at the site, now we got to decide, well, what is the how do we underwrite this site? Well, we'll take the rental rates, we'll take the per capita and see how fast it's going to fill up, and we'll work out an analysis of what that site is going to bring back. If the numbers work and if there's a good return, and we're looking at probably at 20% IRR over 5 years if you buy it and sell it, then I think we'll take a look at it. Anything over 20% is something that we'll look at. Once we do that, we got to look at the site itself. We got to make sure like I said, the zoning's there. But then on top of that, you have to have the environmentals. As a matter of fact, the one project we went into as far as Burlington Coat Factory, that was our first. And it turned out that we bought the building and found out that the tile in the building was not asbestos, but because it was built right in the 70s, the mastic with the tile was asbestos, so that had to be removed and scraped out. So that cost us a few dollars. So you got to be careful as far as going in there and get your checklist and make sure the environmentals are okay. You got to watch what the construction costs are going to be, what's happening with the steel, and what's happening with right now. I mean, everything's pretty much up in the air as far as what your construction costs are going to be. So if you run over, you got to put that in your pro forma, and if it doesn't work out, you got to be very careful. I mean, the construction usually will get somebody who is a contractor and make sure that they go over this. And a contractor who has done self-storage, you don't want somebody who's not doing self-storage. So that being said, it's very lucrative as far as if you get the right location. If you can buy self-storage, we develop, but we can also buy self-storage and do a value add. Let's say you buy self-storage that has some value add to it. And in other words, adding more square footage or raising the rental rates. The rental rates are too low for the market. There's a lot of things that we can do a value add. We'll look at that and run the pro forma and on that and see if the numbers work. And we'll look at existing units too. So that being said, as far as international, Canada is doing quite well. Great Britain is getting into the self-storage, and Europe is just starting, and they're at the ground floor. So with the international self-storage, it's becoming more popular, especially because it is so lucrative in the United States. Any questions? I guess the questions are at the end, right?
Questions will be at the end after we get to Theresa. Yes.
Petro, anything that you wanted to ask?
I'll wait till the end of the. Okay. I'll wait till the end. So in this case, if you are all done, we'll transition to Bill Caden. Bill, are you available? And if not, Bill, there we go. Great. Yeah. Thank you.
I had to find the buttons there. Okay, so Ahmad, do you want to?
Yes. Hey, Bill. Good morning.
Good morning, yeah.
Well, I'm a young man. This man never changes. So, Dimitro gave a little brief bio of Bill, but a couple of things I want to mention. Bill founded the CGBN, and he's been very passionate about it. And I've told him many times, if he didn't show that passion, I would have been retired a long time ago. But so I'm in this journey with Bill, along with Dimitro and Peter and Theresa and Dr. Mustafa, and it's a great group. This man has shown a passion for what he's been doing. He's a founder of this group. And we've been going strong for the last 5 years, right from the time of COVID. When the first NAR conference went virtual, we were invited to have you remember that, Theresa? Yes. So, and so we've been going strong from that time. So, Bill, there's a couple of questions, and then you can give us a presentation. And number one, why attend MIPIM? And then
how do you ask? And
then how do you prepare for your trip?
Yeah. And first of all, let me thank you for that introduction. Nothing that I have visions of would have been accomplished without this team. So it's a team effort, and I appreciate that. MIPIM, why do you go to MIPIM? Okay, which is in France, okay, in Cannes, okay, where they have the film festival right on the Riviera. That's enough to start with. But then there has to be the business reasons, okay? The world today is getting smaller and smaller. You just have to read the paper, what's going on with tariffs and all the backlash. We're all interconnected. And I think that MIPIM allows you to distill the entire world and the United States down into movers and shakers that are doing business that want to connect with other people in the world. I mean, I can take one flight and go take one hotel and go to one location, and I can meet people from all over the world, okay? And I'd have to spend months and years flying to each continent, okay? And then how would I locate these people that have the same passion and the same interest that I do? So that's number one. Number two is that it expands my marketing, all right? And expands it, okay, in not only the world, but also in the United States. All right. Because when I go there, there's a U.S. pavilion. There are different people from different states that have the same passion about business that I do. And how can I go to Colorado, New Mexico, North Carolina, Miami, and New York, okay, in 1 week and meet these kind of people? All right. So that opens up a whole lot of business and to do deals. And that's why I go to MIPIM.
Right, Bill. So could you share with us some of your success stories? What would you recommend to anyone thinking of attending?
Yes. So the first thing is to get prepared. Preparation is everything in our business. Okay. Ask yourself this question. Who do you want to meet? What is your goal for going there? What projects or what deals do you want to promote? Once you decide that, okay, then you can utilize the website. It's a very well designed website. You can see all the attendees. They have filters. You can break it down into your groups, okay, that you want to connect with or the people you want to connect with. This year, I chose Mexico and the United States and Germany because I have contacts in Germany, and Mexico and the United States are the biggest trade partners with the United States. And I was looking for investors or high net worth individuals or any private lenders, okay, and to meet with. So preparation is fill out your profile, very detailed. Could then spend your time, okay, sending invitations to the people you want to meet with. This year, I sent, I read hundreds of resumes or their little profiles, and I sent out 158 emails. I set 10 appointments, 9 of which I met with and talked with. One was a no-show, and I set about 12 different things, okay, right now that I'm still following up with, because I met other people besides the contact people that I was there with.
Okay, so Bill, from the very first time you went, I would imagine each time there was something new that you learned that you applied to your next trip. So just take us through that and your first successful, through MIPIM, your first successful business referral.
Yeah, so be honest with you, I didn't have any mentors or anybody to follow. The first time it was deer in a headlight and really hard to get around and understand the people. But I did start some relationships then. And out of the first year, no deal. Second year, I got the largest deal that I have to date from a German company. Sold a building in Washington, D.C. My team did, okay, to the tune of $248 million. Master leased a building here in Chicago, okay, huge success story, all right. Follow-up years, and I'll just say that developing relationships and continuing that. So one of the gentlemen I met with the second year, I met with every year again this year. He put together $100 million war chest, okay, and wanted to invest in the United States. And he had 2 places he wanted to be, all right, and that was Florida, and I convinced him that he needed to be in the Midwest. So he's in Florida, he's doing projects there. He still has an appetite for the Midwest, and I will meet with him again. This year, I also, because my focus was on high net worth individuals and lenders, I ran into a group called Houlihan Lockney. They're a $500 billion lender. They start lending at $75 million. They won't do anything less than that. And they won't do one-off projects. They will do programmatic projects. I've had one conference call with them on projects. I have some others that we are lining up to work with them. In addition to that, I took along Peter's self-storage. Self-storage is a newer concept in Europe. The UK has probably the furthest along in doing that. But I met a group there that's trying to do something in Germany, France, and Italy because those markets are pretty much a vacuum. And I'm still working to hook Peter up, okay, on a conference call to see if we can get them to invest in the United States. And Peter maybe finding some investors that he can help with his platform to help this group expand in those areas. In addition to doing deals, there's very good educational sections. This year I attended one on housing, the office industry. By the way, when I was in office, I sat at a table with a father-daughter company, and they have interest in value-add office buildings here in the United States. So that's another lead that I'm following up on, along with industrial. Okay, they're kind of some of my hot buttons in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. So I'd recommend for anybody wanting to attend, do a little research on it. I know we've talked with this group, and we may in the fall, late fall or early January, do a session on how to best prepare. And I've learned a lot of things over the 6 years that I've been there to make my trip more efficient and more productive. I wish I'd have had that my first year. I know this year there were 10 people representing Illinois, only 10 brokers representing the whole state of Illinois. A couple of them were new, and because they tagged along with other people, they walked away with contacts, okay, that they will be following up and will be doing deals. So it's very open. You never know, okay, whether you're riding a bus or going out for lunch, okay, that you sit down and start talking with somebody and you strike up a deal. All right. So it's a very interesting, fun-filled, but it's a lot of it. You have to come with a lot of energy because there are long days, there are 12-hour days. Okay. So I also invite people to, do your month ahead. If exercise, get yourself used to being on your feet and working all 12 hours. So thank you for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about MIPIM.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. And I'm sure in the question time, there's going to be more questions. Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you. In that case, Theresa, it's all you, and Dr. William will be moderating.
I think he left me, so should I just go?
Yeah, let's just...
Hey, everyone. It's Theresa Mueller of Trillium Real Estate out of Chicago. And unlike Bill, I don't know that I necessarily put the 12 hours in this year because I had spine surgery just 4 weeks prior to going to MIPIM. So I gave myself 4 weeks to recover and was ready to go. And just like Bill, I put contacts out there. I, emailed people who I thought we might have some synergies. I made appointments from 10 to 4. And if I got booked up, which I did, that happened pretty fast once you put yourself out there. I said, just show up for coffee in the morning at the U.S. Pavilion or cocktail afterwards. And so I want to talk a little bit about additional international resources. So Bill talked about MIPIM. That one is probably the most outstanding because you have more people from all over the place, particularly there, and you have brokers, you have lenders, you have developers, but there are other venues besides MIPIM, even if you can't make it, although it is typically quite lovely. It wasn't this year, but I didn't mind because I was sitting in the basement anyway with meetings. There are opportunities to go to Expo Real. This is something Bill set up for all of us to go through NICAR back in 2019. Now, they tend to be Germanic focused, but they are expanding their reach. They are also all over Europe. You could go to FIAPSI. FIAPSI is another incredible organization. They were at MIPIM. They have two big events every year outside of MIPIM, this year in Nigeria and Panama. They'll also have stuff stateside. You can go to NAR Global, so that tends to be primarily residential. However, there is a commercial component and there is a global component. Again, another opportunity where people come to the U.S. And the great thing is we now also have C5, which I think we talked a little bit about it in the beginning because we're putting together this commercial CIPS course, which Bill has put it together in the past. It's been difficult to get this going. We tried to do it again just before the pandemic hit, and here's another try because CIPS is a designation that gives you an awareness, a cultural awareness, understanding how to exchange money. There's all sorts of different resources within CIPS. And once you have that designation, you're instantly connected with thousands of individuals who have this designation and are working the worldwide scene. So hopefully, if you don't have it or want a refresher in a commercial capacity, we are doing that at C5 in September, which is, yay, in Chicago. So I will be at C5. I don't know how much of the CIPS course I will be at, depending on the scheduling. But it is a really great opportunity to network, be educated, just like all these other sources. So when we go, we're going to network. There's education. There's ways that we find to help each other, even if we might not personally benefit. So when Bill put these things together, he might not necessarily benefit from every single one of these endeavors, but it's always putting yourself out there, trying to help individuals connect, and it will come back. Pay it forward. And let me tell you something, going to MIPIM, which Illinois Realtors subsidizes the conference portion for those who apply and win the stipend. But let me tell you that $1,500 if you get the early bird fee, even if you don't network or do any of the education, there's a lot of food and wine. So, I go to Linea and one dinner is like $500. So just going for the wine is worth it. But in any event, I have teas. But what I do when I go there to any of these conferences, I go with several different motives. Certainly it's acquisition and disposition in the U.S., but also helping other individuals. So I have started marketing as a consequence to going to these international events over years and having the connections. I have between 40 to 50,000 connections in my database. I have over 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm helping other individuals, other brokers. I'm co-brokering on there was a chalet in Switzerland that I helped put out there. I have several different listings. I have a resort in St. Lucia, Little Corn Island, and I have some other things coming up that are international where I'm co-brokering with other individuals to get their properties marketed across the U.S. Brokers, right? Because we're all using the databases. We're going on CoStar and LoopNet and Crexi and all the different things that are available to us. And I'm going to throw out there, I didn't see George show up, but every time I go to another country, I do a meet and greet with other brokers, lenders, attorneys, anyone who's in the space. I'm like, hey, I'm here. So I went on spring break with my kids to Paris and London, so 4 days each. And each time I did a meet and greet. Well, what that did is when I went to Paris, one of the individuals invited me to an event with a bunch of wealth managers. A great event. I got to network again. I got to learn a little bit more about the city, went out for wine afterwards. Amazing. Then when I was in London, did my meet and greet. George, he said, hey, maybe you're going to the same event. I'm like, I don't know what the event is. Well, it was to sell hotel residency, a new project that's happening in Switzerland. But one thing that I didn't realize was the international MLS. So they're putting this out there and trying to develop better international MLSs. So if you are marketing and working with other brokers across the world, having something beyond the U.S. databases that are available to us. So I should also mention I go to exchange meetings, and that tends to be more U.S. focused, but we are expanding the horizons there because when we go there, we think, oh, here there's tax advantages, right? If we exchange properties in the U.S. And you can't go domestic to international or international to domestic. However, you could start thinking about your international 1031. So this is something I'm looking to do a presentation on so that everyone in the U.S. who is investing internationally, that they have options outside the U.S. when they dispose of that asset and they look to move up or laterally or whatever they're looking to do, that they have that same sort of treatment that they have within the U.S. So I I could go on for hours. I was on radio, so I could go blah, 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 blah. But I'm most happy to entertain questions. That's what I love when people called me at the radio and whatever random question they had, whether it was silly or not or related to real estate. I mostly love to talk about global and commercial real estate, but happy to talk here or offline about anything. And if you're in Naperville, you can come visit Bill, and I'm sure Demetra and Peter will join us, even though they don't live in our neighborhood. They'll come on by. So I look forward to hearing from whatever anyone has to ask.
Great. Thank you for that, Theresa. I will start off, Peter, if you're available for a couple of questions in regards to self-storages, and obviously open the questions up for everybody else to follow up with Theresa, Bill, or Peter. Peter, tell me, as far as construction operations go, what are the common construction delays or cost overruns you've encountered, and how do you mitigate them?
A lot of delays are because we didn't look ahead as far as using the contractor. We rely on the contractor, general contractor, to make sure we don't have a lot of delays. The one we put up in Burbank, one of the delays, like I mentioned, was for environmental. We had to, bring up the tile and clean that off. Other delays are when there is as far as supplies of, maybe it might be steel. It could be a shortage of steel. Another factor, as far as construction is concerned, is the electric. As far as bringing the transformers to a building, if it's a new construction, there has been delays with the transformers coming in. Today, what's happening with the tariffs and everything else, I would refer to an expert as far as trying to get the construction, what to look for as far as delays are concerned. So it's supply of the products you have to use to do the construction. So you got to be careful about that.
Right. Thank you. I'll just have one more question in regards to strategy and scaling. If you were starting over today, what would you do differently in your first self-storage developments for the folks who want to maybe thinking about getting into this or thinking of doing their first deal? What would you do?
I'll tell you, as far as our first deal was in Cook County, and the other one is in Cook County too, and we were able to mitigate the fact that Cook County, the taxes, we're paying less for the next 12, 15 years because of what we got. It's a 7B that they call. So the taxes are, I'd say, at 10% of what they should be, and then it goes up once that's done. The 12 years are done. They're looking at extending the 12 years for another 12 years.
Good.
That happens. You got to be careful as far as what your outside expenses are going to be. What was again the question?
Yeah, it was basically, if you were starting over today, what would you do differently in your first self-storage development?
That I would look at. I definitely consider using if I'm buying an existing building, I'm going to hire a inspector. I mean, that's something that should have been done when we didn't do it. To tell us what exactly is wrong with the building itself. So, other than that, I mean, you have to have architects, construction people, people who know the business of self-storage, not just any kind of construction person. It's got to be someone who's done self-storage. Same with the architect. That's something that I would consider.
Great. Well, thank you for that information. Ahmed?
Yeah, Peter, so you've done both. You've repurposed existing big box, and you've done construction. So what is the challenge between the two, which is an easier one to deal with?
Repurposing.
Repurposing?
By far. I mean, it takes less time, less money. The repurposing is something that you want to get into. The only thing you have to realize with repurposing is the zoning that you have to deal with as far as the village is concerned. But a lot of the municipalities are realizing that okay, if they have this big box, they don't want to sit there. You show up there and put a nice, nice climate controlled self-storage with, nice design. And a lot of them will consider that and get you through.
I have a question. Peter, how much self-storage do you see outside the U.S.?
Like I said, Europe is not really, really hasn't gone with the self-storage. There's a reason for that too.
Because Americans are hoarders?
That's exactly the reason. I mean, the Americans are hoarders, and the Europeans, every year they clean out their closets and everything else, and they have extra stuff. So that's the difference as far as the self-storage. But I think they're getting into the European market, and Great Britain is also doing quite well, as well as Canada.
Thank you. Question for you, Bill, as far as MIPIM goes, as far as cost, because I'm sure not too many people are aware, what kind of cost are you expect to spend for the whole trip and there and, just...
Okay, so there is no cost, but there is an investment, okay?
What kind of investment, right?
So you're investing in your career and your education and expanding your markets, all right? So total cost, okay, planes are, about $1,000. Your registration's in US dollars, okay? Your registration is 1,300 euros, which is about 1,500. Okay. The biggest area that you can save in is lodging. Okay. And our experience is stay in Cannes. Do not stay in Nice. Okay. You stay in Nice, getting there. You can drive there in 20 minutes on a good day, but during rush hour, it can take you an hour and a half. Okay, maximum, or at least over an hour, and then it's harder to attend the evening events because the train schedule stops at a certain time. And the way to find these, Andy Velkme is partnered with me, and we've roomed together. Find somebody like that, and he is great at finding Airbnbs, and you can find some very interesting ones that are. This year was one of the best. We were right on the Riviera, overlooking the water, okay, and the beach, and it was about a mile walk if you wanted to walk it, which is not terrible to do. So, keeping your costs down that way, all right. And your meals. Usually, I only eat one meal a day because there's so many snacking opportunities, through the day. And some days, if I snack too much, I don't even eat a main meal. Okay. And with the Airbnb, we get a couple, snacks in the morning for their morning to start out. So those are some things that can keep your investment down. Okay. And create a better opportunity.
Great. Thank you for that. We'll open this up again to everybody else. Do you have any questions for our panelists? We'll wait a couple more seconds for anybody to unmute.
Yeah, and Dimitro, before you start the networking, Teresa's going to do the networking. Just make a couple of announcements about the course we're working on.
Yeah, so as Theresa briefly mentioned, there is a CIPS course with emphasis on commercial.
Institute. Actually, we'll be doing the institute.
Sorry?
Is that we're going to be doing the institute, so all the courses.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a full course, CIPS, Certified International Property Specialist certification course. It's going to be with emphasis on commercial global information. We do have our instructors finalized, which is going to be Brian Woods and David McCoy. The first 4 courses will be virtually prior to C5, and it's going to start on 8/21. And then every Thursday after that will be virtual. And then the final course will be in person as well as virtual, September 15th in Chicago, prior to C5, which is happening September 16th through the 18th. We're waiting to finalize on the website, and we'll be able to send out the links and more information on pricing and the type of courses that will be presented. But that is in the works, and it should be done pretty much hopefully by the end of next week.
Yeah.
Anybody interested, put your information in the chat, and Demetrio will download that, and we'll make sure that you get a personal invitation. I have a quick question for Theresa. Theresa, you mentioned C5. What is C5?
Yeah, C5 is a newer conference in the last several years. It started in New York, it's been Atlanta, this year it's in Chicago, and it's NAR's attempt to approximate something like MIPIM, where we're bringing together from all over the world and all the different disciplines here in the US. So we're moving cities around. So it gives an opportunity similar to MIPIM. It's not as big as MIPIM yet, but if you continue to go, we continue to grow every single year. They bring amazing presenters. Last year, they had some famous football player, which, I don't even know sports people, but everyone else gets super excited. They go and ask all the sports questions, and then I go up and ask what their favorite book is. But you have an opportunity to meet individuals from every aspect of commercial real estate and from all over the world here in the US, just like you would in France or Expo Real and MIPIM or FIAPSI. It's a similar opportunity. And like I said, it's in Chicago this year, so we'll all be there.
Do you know
Again,
what
if you want
convention
to
site
not-
that's going to be at?
What's the question?
Do you know what convention site it's going to be at?
It's in the city. I have too many places in my head. I don't know where it's at until the day before. I just go, look, where am I tomorrow?
It's going to be at the Hilton in Chicago.
Which one? The downtown Hilton by the river? Okay.
Yeah.
So you can look up C5 plus CCIM. They did partner with CCIM. CCIM also has their own individual conferences, but since this was a more global attempt, they wanted to pair with, they're with NAR and CCIM. They're working on relations with other organizations, but it's a great opportunity.
Again, if you want to get the invitation, put your information in the chat, and we'll make sure you get it.
Bill, I'd just like to add, so you don't have to be a Realtor member to do the course, but you have to be a Realtor member to get the certification, okay? And for our overseas friends, you've got to be a member of the local association that is a bilateral partner of NAR in order to get the certification. So we have our friends here, Dr. Mangbo and Divine Properties from Nigeria. You have to go through IEN. I know Dr. Mangbo is a member of IEN. So that's, and then, it's no problem at all. We're going to have a little time difference because of the virtual. I mean, we got, I think, a 6-hour difference with Nigeria and Chicago, but that should work fine. The other thing is we have Yoshi here, and in networking, Yoshi can tell us more about CIPS. He has a lot of experience. He's a past CIPS chair of NAR.
Great, thank you for that. We have one more question, and then we will transition into the networking aspect. Lane, what do you, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. So last month I took a trip to Brazil, and of course I looked at properties and saw things, and a lot of the numbers seemed pretty captivating. But my question is sort of twofold. One, when I would talk to brokers down there, they didn't seem to have good data on returns, NOI, cap rate. They kind of didn't know what I was even referencing. So that is making it difficult. And the other component of it is, one of the reasons why it is attractive there is largely because of this currency fluctuation. So when you're dealing with international investing, and say you're putting together a 10, 20-year workbook to see what your IRR is, how do you calculate for that as far as what you predict a currency might do? Because my thought is, if I make a large investment there and then I sell it, but then the real goes down and the dollar stays up, well, that could be a problem as far as getting my money out. And so there's this little bit of an uncertainty there that I don't really know how I can calculate for on the front end when I'm putting my workbook together.
Great question. And it's a dilemma that a lot of people find when they're trying to do international business. So part of the CIPS class, okay, which is created for commercial brokers, all right, in this slant, will address that because it's different for every country that you're dealing with. But a lot of the work that you're talking about in terms of getting IRRs or cap rates, you have to do that. So you have to ask the right questions, get the data, and it may not be spot on because you don't have a lot of data, but you'll get a feeling, or you'll get what I call guardrails. You'll see where it's going, and usually those deals have such a large spread that the cap rate. Yes, you want to know it, but it's not necessarily the major factor. Okay.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And also, I think anywhere you're investing, you want to have trusted partners, right? Every country is going to be different in their processes. You need to know people that you trust there to help you with the proper due diligence.
Terrific. Thank you for adding that, because that's one of the goals of the CIPS is to start a group of trusted people, okay, that interact, that you get to know. And then another goal of this is to put together international people that you need to transact a deal. For example, in one of my goals going to MIPIM this year was to meet synergistic people to us. And I met a group of attorneys. And these attorneys have attorney offices in every country in Europe. And they're going to be our point person. So if anybody's doing a transaction in Europe, we have a point person now that can get you to an expert in the city that you're doing with, that'll be a trusted advisor to help you with these kind of questions. And besides that, we're looking for banking, money transfer people. We're looking for evaluators, CPAs, all this. Okay, the Commercial Global Business Network will have a resource bank, okay, that we will vet, okay, to that. So if anybody has connections like that, okay, please contact me or Dimitro. We'd love to add them to our synergistic group, and we'd love to have them be sponsors of our C5. So we're looking for sponsors, and we have that available too.
Yeah, Lane.
Your money is trusted here.
Lane, question for you. Are you a Realtor member?
Yes, I'm an NAR member and a CCIM candidate. So I'm halfway through my course.
So, I don't know if you looked at the bilateral partners. Brazil is one of the largest real estate organizations after the US. It's huge, very well organized. So you make your connection through them, because then you're going through channels that are known to NAR.
Right.
So that is a good contact for you. And even within that group, you may find that CCIM candidates that are members there. So that, as Bill was talking about, having a trustworthy context about, and that's going to be the whole key. Because, everybody has come out. NAR has a referral form. The referral form is just basically saying it's a referral. There's no way to enforce it, okay? Unless you want to go to court in a foreign jurisdiction.
But that's also why you have trusted partners. It's always better to do business with people you trust than to have a good contract. The good contract's nice, but like attorneys, they make a living off of suing people. But I'd much rather do business with someone I trust than making certain I had the perfect contract or perfect referral form.
Yeah, in this conversation, I would let Yoshi get into the conversation, because Yoshi's been in the NAR global, sector for a very, very long time. Yoshi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. What's the question?
No, so you've been hearing what we're talking about with the international doing business. So in Japan right now, it's unique. How many associations, bilateral partners with NAR at this?
Japan itself, we have I think 5 or 6 associations.
Right.
Right. And they don't get along each other. So.
Yeah. So, and the thing is, the whole model may be different, but these are crucial to NAR's partnership. So they've done their due diligence and found that we can't ignore any of them. So some of our global bilateral partners are not purely real estate practitioners. Many of them come out of the, some pretty British style. You're going to find surveyors, appraisers.
Right. Each partner is different. Some are like institutions, right? Some focus on as you say, like appraisers, the valuers.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Then some are like big developers, like Philippines, the major developer association.
Right. Yeah. The Philippines is with the Builders Association.
Right. But
right.
they are part of any other partner, and many of them are like a part of realtor members. They individually sign up to be a realtor. So they can use our trademark.
Sounds good. Okay.
Well, thank you everybody for great questions. I just would like to say that our next meeting will be back on schedule as usual. It will be May 20th. It's going to be with Russell Riggs with advocacy issue updates. Looking forward to having him there. And I will transition this to Theresa for the networking.